Hi there. In this video I'm going to do something a bit unusual for my channel. I'm going to restore these two kerosene lamps, maybe in some countries petrol lamps, gas lamps, anyway. But that's about the idea. They provided light back in the day. So let's get to it. Just a bit of a background. This actually, both of them were used in my house when I was a kid in the communist era, when each and every single day they would stop the electricity for cost saving, selling to other countries, whatever, what communists do. So yeah, I have a bit of a background with these two things. I want to make them as nice as possible. The first thing, normally they should unscrew from here, both of them. This has a glass base for the kerosene. This is somewhat homemade. It was chromed at a point in time. It was made from a solid block of metal with a hole on the inside, then a lid welded on top of it. Yeah, quite interesting. But both of them are stuck and I don't want to force anything, so WD-40, a lot of it in this area until I can unscrew them and go from there. Obviously I need to take this thing off. It needs to be repainted, repaired, but the glass itself seems to be in decent condition, so it will be kept. I don't have the protection glass, so those will be bought. I tried to find old ones, but people ask an arm and a leg for them, so if I can get them new exactly as the old ones were, I'm going to go with that, and I will buy a few of them to have spares. So yeah, let's get to it. And I will just give it a bit of a spray all around. Make sure that everything is covered. And leave it a bunch of time and then maybe give it another coat and try to open them up. On this one I am actually going to take this off because at some point it was randomly repaired with a bit of a string in here. So I will cut that off. Obviously almost impossible to do with my left hand, but something is happening, so maybe. Or is it enough that I cut it on one side? Yeah, it is enough. And this is just an elastic strip on top of the glass, so I need to spread it in this area and get it off. And it's off, and obviously it will be cleaned, painted and whatnot by the end of the video. Took off this random piece of copper wire, it was in here, and now to get this thing out you simply squeeze it. That rooster keeps interrupting me. You simply squeeze it and get everything out, something like that, and now we should have access to the glass itself, in theory at least. Yeah, it might need to be moved a little bit around until it decides to drop out. As you can see, it might catch a bit of on this edge or something like that, so be back in a second. Okay, so let's get this thing out. Decent enough shape, just needs to be cleaned and have the back of it replaced. This cardboard, this is what it was catching on. I will bend it to have room to put it in, and then bend it back after everything is back together when this is painted, obviously. So let's continue. Okay, so we decided to open them up a bit further so we can put some WD-40 for this mechanism in here. So this part right here can be taken off by bending down this and one of those on the other side, somewhere around there, and this should come out. Same for this one, so we can spray even inside a tiny bit. So let's do that. Okay, first one is done. You can see those things that I needed to straighten up, and we still cannot see that thing. Maybe it can only be seen from the underneath, not really sure, but anyway, this needed to be cleaned, so this one will be opened up too. Okay, same for this one. It was really dirty in there, so it's a bit cleaner now. We cleaned it up. Let's try and rotate it, just slowly and carefully. Okay, managed to open this one up. It wasn't that rusty on the thread itself, but you can still not see the mechanism, so it's encapsulated in there. Probably we will dip it into some petrol or something to make sure that it gets cleaned even in there a tiny bit, but no way of opening it further. And yeah, this thing needs to be also cleaned inside, obviously, after so many years. Can I put this in? Nope, doesn't want to go in. So we will also try to open that one next. Okay, so after sitting with that oil for a while, my father was able to undo these things. Both of them are out. So at this point, with this Dremel and this metal brush, I will thoroughly clean the outside of this thing. The inside, honestly, it doesn't really matter this much for this particular type of lamp, because that actually acts as a filter. So yeah, the inside I will just clean it a bit with a rag or something, but outside we need to paint, as I told you. So let's get to proper cleaning. And on this other one, I think I need to put something to clean the inside also, because this is glass and we want it really clean. And with the brush I will probably clean the outside of this and paint only the or maybe if I polish it, that might also work. Anyway, but these things also need to be cleaned with that, to put a fresh layer of paint on them, obviously. So let me get to doing that and be back when I finish. Okay, these things are as clean as I can get them with the bigger guns, because the other one, yep, non-existent anymore. Hi there, little spider, helping me. And this thing on the inside, I'm cleaning it with some paint thinner solvent, and it seems it's actually getting it quite all right. Hopefully this will be fully transparent when I'm done. So let's continue. And it's cleaned. Not perfect, but I'm not aiming for perfect. This thing I will not paint. As much of the chrome that it still has on it, it's good enough for me. And the glass, I honestly expected it to remain dirtier than it is, but it's really decently clean. So let me go and spray paint the other parts that I cleaned with this paint thinner. And the first layer of paint is in. Camera focus on all of them. Let them dry and put about 2 more layers, and you can see the pitting from the really deep rust in here. It was impossible to get that pitting out. but yeah, at least we don't have rust anymore. Okay, preparing other parts with another tiny brush that hopefully will survive this time. These things I'm not going to paint. As you can see, they have a bit of rust on the inside, but I don't really care about that one. And I'm mostly going to clean the outside of it, because normally this will be moist from the kerosene all the time, so rust shouldn't be a problem. These things rusted because they stayed in the wet outside without kerosene in them. And look at this one. This is almost as this one looked before I cleaned it. So let's clean this, and let me show you these other two things. So be back when everything is finished. Okay, many days later, these things are fully dried up. In the end, also sprayed these things. They do not get as hot. I realized that the glass actually goes on the inside, so only these things get really hot, so those are not sprayed, but this can be. So yeah, it goes something like this, and it's working, which is perfect. And if you ever wonder how you adjust how big the flame is with this thing, which actually controls, come on, did it just get stuck on me? Probably, yeah. Controls this on the inside. Let me try and see if you can see them rotating, which pull the wick in or out. So let's put some wick in, some petrol or kerosene in this thing actually, and see how everything works for the first one, and then we'll do also the other one. Okay, as you can see, put this thing back in place, bent these feet one on the other side, and this is how this thing moves. When you rotate this, you adjust the level of the flame itself. And this in time burns and needs replacing, but yeah, that will take a long time. So the first one is almost done. We will put the glass on it, and that should be it. So let's get to the other one, which has a base made of glass also. So got the glass in here, and it needs to be left to heat up. You cannot start this thing with a cold glass, it will crack. Tighten these things just a little bit so they hold it perfectly. And look at this. This thing is awesome. Yeah, brings back a lot of memories from my childhood, when in a communist country like mine, they would cut off the electricity almost every night, and we would use these things to have light inside the house. So yeah, let's do the other one also. Okay, this one is also in place. As you can see, that thing is original, and from what I remember, my father told me this thing is glued to this with some melted sugar. My grandpa had the idea, and that is what they were doing back in the day when they needed to glue this stuff, melted sugar. So there's that. This thing again ready to be assembled. Cleaned the glass as much as we could. Put a new sheet of paper on the back of it for a bit of protection, and this thing needs to slide like this in here, and hope for the best. Okay, use the piece of copper wire to tighten this thing, because from factory a lot of years ago it wasn't made to be that tight, but I don't like to play with fire without a bit of safety. So now this thing isn't moving anywhere, and this thing is doing what it needs to. Put this wig in here, hold it in place, and put this thing on top of it, and voila, the second one is looking perfectly. So let's fill them up and see if they also work. Okay, so bad news. The fuel that we had, and we were quite sure it's the right one, actually it's airplane's fuel from MiG-21, whatever. And it's not the right fuel for these things because it makes a huge flame and no, you cannot use it. So I need to source some proper fuel for these things, or they will remain just decorative items, but I want to actually be able to light them up from time to time. So yeah, need to source some fuel for them. Anyway, they are properly working, everything is in order, but I need to get rid of the fuel from them because it's not what it needs to be. This thing basically is able to evaporate, which it shouldn't be able to do by itself, or at least not at a rate where it lights up from what it evaporates. Anyway, so if I'm able to source the proper fuel quite fast, you will see it in this video. If not, well, this is about the end for it. These things are looking perfectly, in my opinion, much better than how they were looking some time ago, but yeah, we will see if we can actually make them work also. Ta-da! They are finally working. Managed to buy some of the good stuff that's made for things like this, and the flame is much better. Really hard to show it to you, but it doesn't create smoke, it doesn't burn extremely high, so yeah, steady tiny flame. So let me turn off the light. Yes, these are not at max power because I don't want to risk cracking the glasses on them. You need to heat them up first, so yeah. And this is what we get. Yes, there are lots of fingerprints on these glasses. That's what happens when you put them in here. But yeah, looking really good in my opinion, and good restoration. It is worth it. Let's see if we can give it a bit more power, but I'm searching for an area without fingerprints on this glass. The wrong direction. Okay, more light. Let's try and give this one a bit more light. An area without fingerprints. Do we have something like that? And yes, I cannot clean the fingerprints at this point because the glasses obviously are really hot at this moment. Yay! It's working. So yeah, it has worth all the effort. Hope this video is nice for you and you found it interesting. In which case, please give it a like, check out my other random videos, and yeah, as always, see you in the next one. Bye! Okay, my father was showing me the proper way to extinguish these things. You don't take the glass off because obviously it's hot. You turn them to a minimum, but not enough that it turns off by itself, because then you would have a lot of smoke and you blow onto this thing, something like this, and it's done. So again, thanks for watching and bye.